So today's book is called Hands Around the Library, Protecting Egypt's Treasured Books. This is a narrative nonfiction, so that means like it is real, it's based off a real story, but the way they tell the story is with characters and in a story fashion instead of just giving facts like they did in Endangered Extreme Survival. This book is written in first-person point of view, so it is going to be the person who is telling the story is the character, and so we're going to find out whose perspective that is from as we read today. Once upon a time, not a long time ago, many people in Egypt were sad and sometimes angry because they were not free to speak or to vote as they wished or gather in groups. They knew about freedom, but only from books or the internet or whispering inside these safe walls of our Alexandria library. Egypt's young people decided it was finally time to let their voices be heard, so they began to march in the streets. First they marched in Cairo, then they marched in Alexandria too. They raised their voices, and many others followed. I'm part of this story. I marched in Alexandria too. I was excited and hopeful, but I was also scared. In other parts of our city, some of the protesters had acted in anger. They had set fire to cars and to police stations, and as we marched towards the library, they grew worried. What if they tried to burn it down? So who do we know is telling the story? Yeah, I think this person here is probably telling this story. And we learn, it says, what do we learn about him? I can infer or I can conclude that the writer or the narrator is a little nervous, but is determined to help do what needs to be done. Our Alexandria Library, built on the ashes of the ancient famous one, is the most beautiful modern building in all of Egypt. Our ancient Egyptian stories are kept alive here in the books and in the carved stone and shimmering glass of the building itself. We were free inside the library, even when we were not free outside. We could not let our Alexandria Library burn. I was surrounded by the sounds of pounding feet and shouting voices. Maybe it was the noise of peaceful people demanding freedom. But maybe the people were so angry they would hurt each other, hurt me, or hurt our library. It says we were free inside the library even when we weren't free outside. Why do you think the author included that sentence right there? What does he mean by that sentence? We were free inside the library even when we weren't free inside. So I think that means like when they were in the library, they didn't have any worries. Like everything was fine, even when it wasn't fine outside the library. Thousands of us were marching for freedom as if caught on a wave from the Mediterranean Sea. Dr. Ismail Sergalden, the library director, saw us approaching. The library has no gates that can be locked, he called out. The doors are all glass. There's nothing that prevents anybody from destroying this building with all of its treasures except the will of the people. The director says the library has no gates to protect it. Only the people can. What does he mean by that? Yeah, I think he means like there's no structure, something to protect it, but people have to take a stand and protect what they want. The marchers pushed together closer and closer to the library. The crowd surged around me on the sidewalk, shouting and waving signs. We were in front of the library. We were on the library steps. The shouting grew louder. Then a young man broke from the marchers, and he ran up the steps to Dr. Sergalden. It used the word surged. What do we think that means? The crowd surged around me. Yeah, I think it means like they came around me, like they surrounded me. They came everywhere. So surge was a good word there. And I could use the words around me to help me figure out what that maybe meant. And he took hold of the director's hand. A young girl followed. She took Dr. Solando's other hand, and then there were 5, then 6, then 7, then 10, all holding hands, protecting the library. It says people started joining hands. And I don't think that the author means that figuratively. Like, I don't think he means like people join hands, like they come together to do something, but they literally joined hands. Why do you think they did that? What was their purpose in doing that? I think we're about to find out. Then I too broke into the chain that was stretching further and further, turning around the library, reaching towards the sea. When some of the marchers spread a huge Egyptian flag across the steps, people cried together, "We love you, Egypt!" A little boy held up another Egyptian flag. It was twice as tall as he was. He waved it right in front of Dr. Ishmael's. A smile crinkled the director's face as he spoke. "Thank you for protecting our library with us. Go forth into the journey of your lives and create a better world." "Thank you," he said, his voice catching a little. "Thank you from the bottom of my heart." It says a smile crinkled the director's face. Why did they use the word like crinkled instead of just saying he smiled? Yeah, I think if it says he crinkled, like he's like really smiling big, or maybe like he was trying not to cry a little bit. That day, the whole world heard his words and watched our Alexandria library, our Bibliotheca Alexandria, with all of our people holding hands in the perfect circle surrounding it. And because together we all protected our Bibliotheca Alexandria, once upon a time, not long time ago, the library stands today holding all of our stories. So this is based off a true event that really happened, and it shows some pictures of the really unique library that is there. So let's think about this book. Why do you think the author wrote this story? Well, first, let's talk about the text structure. The structure of this book, I think, would be a problem and solution, because he tells us a big problem and then he tells us the solution of this story. If we had to think about the author's purpose, why do you think he wrote this story? Well, I think he probably wrote this story not to teach me something, but maybe to inform me about a time that some people tried to hurt the Egyptian library. I don't think he was trying to persuade me to go protect it. I don't think he wrote it to just entertain me, but I think he wrote it to inform me about something. And then let's talk about the big idea. What did the author want us to learn from this book? I don't think he wanted us to learn that the library was important to them, but I think that the big idea, or the message that we could take from this, is how people can stand together to protect something they love. Like, take a stand with other people when you're passionate about something and you really love it.